All right, we are live. Well, hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Cindy, and this channel has a lot of information for teachers. And I have taught online for the last 4 years or so. And a lot of my online teacher friends are what we call pivoting to new and exciting ventures, maybe online and some in person. And so I am also a teacher, and I'm very interested in what the teacher community is doing. And I also have homeschooled. And in my state of New Hampshire, um, I'm just really excited about this new opportunity that I found out that Michelle McCartney is doing. And she lives not too far from me in Weare, New Hampshire. And she's going to come on and tell us a little bit about her business venture, I guess you call it. Right?
Yeah,
Hello,
yeah. So,
Michelle.
hi. Thank you for having me on the show.
Oh,
And
sure.
yeah, so we do a homeschooling center out in Weare called Granite Minds Homeschooling Center.
Where is it?
Yeah. Yes, that's the running joke. And, every person who's in Weare loves it, right? But yeah, it's actually really great where it's located. I think it's like 20 minutes from Manchester, 30 minutes from Concord. It's,
Yeah,
all the
it's
major places can get there pretty quick. But
yeah.
yeah, it's a great space. And so pretty much what we do is we have a homeschooling center with all different kinds of resources and materials for homeschooling families to take advantage of. We have classes that are there, different clubs. So we right now have regularly Lego club. We have chess club. We're just starting a genealogy club as well. For
Ooh,
any history buffs, we're going to have a knitting club, and
knitting.
anything people are interested in
Yeah.
bringing there. I'm totally open. So to me, it's a community center. I want it to serve the community. So whatever the community wants to see there, I hope that they let me know and we can, arrange and make it happen.
Excellent. Okay, so when was it that you started this
So
program?
it's actually kind of a funny story. I started the idea back in like October, and it very quickly transformed into what it is now. But it started off really as more of like a place where you could like rent a classroom type of thing. Is really what the initial thought process was. And we have those services, but now it's branched off into so much more. And so it went through a lot of different stages of development. I actually live in Concord, so I was wanting to put it in Concord,
Okay.
and so that didn't end up working out. And so now we're kind of going into Weare, which is where we ended up settling. And it's a great location. The property couldn't fit, better what we're looking to do with it. And like I said,
Okay,
it really grew and evolved. Mhm.
so I don't know if your computer is do you hear the feedback or is that just me?
I don't hear the feedback, but I can.
You don't hear it. Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah, I think that's better.
Okay.
Okay, so my next question was what type of a facility do you have? Like, do you
Yeah.
have a building, a schoolroom? What is it?
So the property itself was actually a house that was converted into office spaces. And the office spaces, it actually was like a real estate brokerage office for the longest time. And then during COVID, the whole office ended up shutting down and they sold the building to the new owner. And the new owner has some upstairs offices, and our center has the whole downstairs. So the whole downstairs, we have a lot of the outdoor space, and we even have a big barn on the property as well that we can use. So we use
Wow.
that for big events. So like this Saturday, we're going to actually have a big market days where a bunch of people are going to be out there with vendors. It'll be a pretty big deal because we're going to have an intro to homeschooling session in the center. And then in the barn, we're going to have some market days, vendors, and shopping going on. And then the rest of the center will be open for kids to play with. So it should be a lot of fun this Saturday.
Wow, that's
Mhm.
awesome. And that's kinda quick to start something like that from October, and now it's blossomed into this really awesome thing. Okay, so, another question is, do you, pay rent for the building? How does that work?
Yeah, so there's somebody who owns the property. We pay rent for the portions that we use. And then, like I said, they actually have an office upstairs.
Mhm.
So it's kind of cool because I get to see the property owner all the time, but we definitely pay rent. We don't own the property.
Okay. So how does that work? Do you charge people to be part of the group and they help pay for the rent? How does that work?
Yeah, so there's a few different ways that we do it. So the group itself, like I said, it's actually a community center. We don't have like a formal group that gets together. So
Okay.
we have drop-in rates if you want to just stop by anytime, during open hours and utilize the facility, whether it's for any of the clubs or just to stop by and, use a textbook or, some curriculum or something. We have all that stuff available. And so they can do that with a drop-in rate, which is about $5 an hour per kid. Or they can come in and rent a classroom if they wanted to do their own private classes. They can do that and rent the classroom or rent the barn for big gatherings, events, or bigger bigger classes that would need to take place. Or they can get our membership. And with the membership, you have unlimited access to the facility, as long as it's within opening hours, of course. So that's for people who really want to like come often, that type of thing. And so it just depends on what kind of use they would actually get from the facility as to what kind of payment structure is going to make the most sense. But there's a number of different ways that people can utilize the center.
Wow, that is so cool. That is
Yeah.
very innovative. I've been in the homeschool community for many years, and so that's the first time that I've seen anybody organize in this way. A lot of churches do, maybe classes, co-op
Mhm.
type things. But this is really cool because like whoever joins is sort of like, co-owners, sort of co-renters.
Yeah, I mean, it's designed for people to use it the way that they need it. And it's because I understand like homeschooling is not a one size fits all. No education is. And so I could sit here and come up with a curriculum and a program and all that stuff, but that's not necessarily going to be perfect or the right fit for, a number of families.
Mhm.
So what I really wanted to make with the center is an open opportunity. It's like, look, we have these classes available. Independent teachers can come in and do their own classes, charge their own rates, all that type of stuff by just renting a classroom. Or we can have people that just come in and utilize the center for what they need. Some people just want to be there for some extracurricular activities. Some people need tutoring. Some people need end of year, portfolio evaluations.
Mhm.
Some people need help picking out a curriculum, and so it's nice for them to have the membership where they can come and try out different curriculums before they buy one. So there's a lot of different benefits to it, of course. And we already have in the fall, there's going to be a pre-K co-op meeting there as well. And then we have a micro school that'll also be meeting there in the fall too.
Oh,
So
cool. What's a
yeah, so those will
micro
be really cool. Yeah.
what's a micro school?
What's a micro school? So a micro school is a small, it's sort of like a pod. So it's a small group of kids that generally it's an age range, but they're similar in age. And so they all kind of do the same curriculum together, the same activities, the same education together. And so they're called micro schools because it's essentially school, but in a smaller, more condensed, parents are usually really active and involved in them. And they all just use the same curriculum.
Okay, cool. So, like, the parents all work together to teach the kids?
Yeah, yeah. So the parents kind of come together. Usually they'll like hire a private teacher to teach the kids,
Oh, okay.
that type of thing. So the one that's coming is actually they're going to be using the Ron Paul curriculum. And it's going to
Oh,
be like,
wow.
yeah, so it'll be 4 hours a day. You know what I mean? So it's
Okay.
not
So it's
anything too
every day?
crazy. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now how old are your children?
So my oldest is 3 and my youngest is 1. So I have very,
Wow.
very young kids and they hang out with me at the center. So anybody who stopped by knows that they're they're there and loads of fun.
Well, I
But
just love it that you're so into this and your kids aren't even in school yet.
yeah.
That is a vision. That is a vision. I really commend you for that. That's really
Yeah,
awesome.
I definitely planned, we planned for a while that we wanted to homeschool our kids.
Mhm.
From the moment I got pregnant with my oldest, I was like, this is something I definitely want to do. And I'm a planner. So I remember being pregnant with her and like not even showing yet. And I was like downloading curriculum and like,
Wow.
making portfolios and spreadsheets and all this stuff of all the things that I wanted to make sure I had on hand. So I
That is
am
so great.
super, yeah. I am a huge advocate of homeschooling. And, and I was in the public school. I know what it's like. I know that my kids aren't missing anything. You know what I mean? And I always joke with people because people always say that, there's the socialization aspect. It's like, I went to public school. I know what the socialization was like. I've seen the bullying. I've seen the bad influences. Like, that's not the socialization I want for my kids. And on top of that, my 3-year-old has more friends right now than I think I ever did at any given point in time. And it's just because I've made the effort to surround her with lots of children her age so that she could get the socialization. And so I think there's a lot of myths surrounding homeschooling. And one of the big things that we plan to do with the center is kind of break down those myths. And so one of the things that a lot of people said was, why are you labeling it a homeschooling center? Because it's not at home. And I said, well, because it's technically homeschooling still. Like, homeschooling just means that you pick the expert that teaches your kid, and you're the one that picks the environments that they're going to be in. And so it's technically still homeschooling, you know what I mean? And I think I really want to break down those stigmas and break down all those different, stereotypes surrounding homeschool, because they're just not accurate.
Right. What I like about homeschooling
Mhm.
groups is that the kids will make friends with people all different ages, where
Mhm.
because I have my younger kids go to school now, and we go to a Christian school. And
Yeah.
so I see that they gravitate to kids their own age. But when I just did homeschool, my kids would go to anybody, any age, and
Yeah.
even adults, they have a relationship with adults and they're not afraid to, they feel comfortable around adults as well, which I think
Yeah.
is really awesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and definitely, having the different ages I think is really important too. And getting them to experience things and getting them into so many different environments. We actually did a preschool co-op last fall, first semester, and it wasn't a good fit. The group was great, but I noticed when we went, every single time we went, it was stuff that my daughter already knew, and so it ended up just being a glorified play date.
Right,
And
right.
so it was kind of, to me, I was like, all right, I'm not going to drive an hour out here, once a week for a glorified play date. That just doesn't make any sense to me. And so it's just like, my daughter, who's 3, is very advanced academically. She's already kind of starting to read.
Wow.
She's already kind of being able to write different letters and numbers, and she can identify everything. She knows her sounds, she knows her phonics, and that's stuff that she's really interested in. And you don't see that a lot in a lot of pre-K classes, because it's just not a focal point of pre-K. But that's what she's interested in. So that's kind of what we go with. So that's one of the things that I always try to stress too, is homeschooling is so unique, and you can really tailor it around your children, and what your children's interests are. What works for one kid won't work for another. And so it's important to kind of go into all the different groups and see what groups fit, what groups don't. And the nice thing about the homeschooling center, like I said, is we can have a variety of different groups meeting, of all different ages, and people can really get to kind of see and be exposed to so much, which I think is really important.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing that, since I do have experience homeschooling,
Mhm.
that was one thing I felt like I lacked, was when I would have to decide, okay, are we going to do school today? Or are we going to visit people? Because whenever we saw
Yeah.
people, it was just visit, 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 play.
Yeah.
And, I wanted that working relationship with people, so that my kids would know you can be with a group of people working on something. Um,
Mhm.
that's kind of what I liked about school, is that you can be with each other and you can do some work. And that's more of what we end up doing in society, like when you're with people, you're
Yeah.
doing projects, or, working together at work or whatever it is. So I think the center is a great idea, because you can get the both aspects, where you're socializing, but then you're also um, with people, and you're also setting goals and doing things together,
Mhm.
which which I think is really awesome. So Mr. Don Riddell, he's here visiting. He says he had 3 kids 15 years ago in Peterborough, and they homeschooled. He's a fellow patriot in New Hampshire. He says it sounds great, Michelle. So, and then I also have another friend, Jason Cheek. He's a friend that I met online. He's an online teacher, but he's also he teaches teachers. So he goes around and like evaluates people that are, getting their teaching degree. Now, what is your background? You have a background in teaching?
So not really, actually. I was going to school before ever having children, before ever meeting my husband. I was actually going to school and wanted to become a Waldorf teacher. So I did have aspirations to be a teacher. And I loved the Waldorf style. I loved the very down to earth nature, not really a whole lot of electronics, very learning things from its core out, I think was really important. And so I really liked the style. I've since then I still like Waldorf, but I'm not as into it as I was before. Now I've kind of taken a little bit of a step back. And I like to kind of look at a variety of different options and kind of commingle lots of different, education styles. But yes, I was going to school to become a Waldorf teacher. And then I met my husband. And, when things get a little bit more serious, you start to kind of think of, all right, when are we going to settle down? When are we going to kind of do that type of thing? Because I knew I wanted children. And so it kind of became the conversation of, do I keep going to school for another few years, have all the student loan debt, and, work for maybe a couple of years before we have kids? Or do I just drop out now so I don't have as much student loans and, go a different route? And so I ended up doing that. I ended up dropping out. And when we had my daughter, I went into the student loan industry, which was kind of interesting.
Interesting.
I worked in debt collections, and I collected on behalf of the Department of Education for student loans. And I did that for 2 years. And then I got pregnant with my daughter and quit. And when I was at home with her, I said, okay, I need to do something else. I ended up starting a bookkeeping business, which I still own and still run. And once I had my second daughter, I said, okay, I think it's time to kind of start getting, my oldest was starting to get into preschool kind of age. And I said, I want to start setting up for homeschooling career now, And so I've been looking at the homeschooling center and kind of playing around with the idea of it. And it ended up blossoming into this. And I'm so excited to see where it's going to go. It's gotten a lot of interest. A lot of people are really excited about it. It's only been open for a month, so it's still very, very new. Wow. And so we're just trying to get the word out that it exists, let people know about it, let people come, stop by and see it. And the Lego Club is a huge hit. So every Wednesday from 10 to 12, we have Lego Club. Chess Club has been pretty successful so far too. And Chess Club is on Tuesdays from 2 to 4 p.m. And then we're just starting Knitting Club, which will be, I believe we're doing that 10 to 12 on Tuesdays right before Chess Club. And then we're going to have the Genealogy Club on Mondays. So it'll be a lot of fun. And then, like I said, we have quite a few groups that are already planning to start here in the fall. So I'm excited for that.
Have you ever heard of, what was I going to say? What are the ages of the knitters?
Of the knitters. So we're just starting it. So far we don't have a ton of attendees, but they're I'd say 7 to 10 years old. Yeah. So it was cute. Actually, my daughter was kind of playing around with the knitting needles, and she was like, "Look, mommy, I'm making you a dress." I was like,
"Oh, cute."
I was like, "Oh, that's advanced, right?"
Yeah, that is very advanced because I teach knitting and I teach it online even. And I've had some kids come that are pretty young and they kind of get discouraged. But if you study knitting, years, during World War II and stuff, I mean, they had 5-year-olds knitting socks and mittens and all kinds of things.
Yeah, so one of the things with the Waldorf education, and one of the things I do like about it is in first grade is when they teach them how to knit. So they're about 6 years old, and that's when they learn how to knit. And it's a great age actually for them to learn because it gives them so much tactile hand motions and a lot of those fine motor skills. And when you do that combined with a task like that, it actually helps the brain develop so much better as well. and creates a bunch of different neural links in the brain. So it's actually a hugely beneficial skill for children to learn. And I'm not great at it. I'm like novice level, but I can at least teach kids the basics and get them to where they can at least start knitting. They can knit scarves, they can knit hats, that type of thing.
I put my knitting away. I usually have it right here, but I do have a playlist on my channel for very beginner knitting. So, but it's kind of hard to teach virtual knitting. I have had a few kids that just give up, like they just don't want to do it. But then there's other kids that they just are enthralled with it and they just don't give up. And so that's really fun to watch. But, and I just think that kids today aren't exposed to the hands-on activities as much. And I think that's a great thing. I mean, sure, the Lego club also helps with that because,
and the Lego club, I have to tell you, I am always blown away with the things that these kids build in the Lego club. I remember playing with Legos as a kid, and I did not make any of these beautiful, elaborate things. But these kids come in nowadays and they're building like these little functional robots and these beautiful like landscapes. I'm like, so it's amazing what these kids can do. It's incredibly creative. There's a lot of STEM activities to them. And we have a few kits in there too, so that they can actually put together certain items and certain pictures and, that type of thing. So it's a lot of fun. It's really cool.
Very good. Okay, so I had another question on here. What is your vision for the future of this project?
So I mean, vision-wise, I really want the place to grow. I want, tons of people to be able to utilize it. We are planning a community garden to have, gardening classes. It is a homeschooling center, but it's not strictly for kids. We've got tons of stuff that'll be for adults as well. So throughout the summer, especially with the homeschooling kind of dying down, we're going to do a lot of adult workshops and, workshop days that all have a theme around them. Speakers, we have a huge barn, which we can host events out of. So we're going to be doing the market days on the last Saturday of every month. We're going to be doing lots of different workshops, maybe even some retreats for some adults. So we really want it to be a really great place where just as a family, people can come out and gain skills, learn new things, connect and network with people, and get those different kind of groups going. So I think the community garden will be really cool. I'm really excited about that. We also have a workshop coming up at the end of May for an apple tree seed bomb. So I had never heard of them. And then somebody reached out to me and he was like, I know how to do this. Can I teach this class here? I was like, that is the coolest thing. And pretty much what it is he has these apple tree seeds and you put them inside like, I guess it's clay and dirt and whatever it is, you put them inside and you dry them out. And pretty much you put stuff in it where it has like near 100% germination. So it like definitely will turn into, start to germinate and you just throw them and they will come up. How cool is that, right?
That is really cool.
So we're going to have some of those. And it's for adults and kids and they can, and they can bring them and, we'll have a few at the center so we can plant some apple trees at the center and then they can take them home and plant them on their yards and, it'll be so much fun. So I'm really excited to see where things can go. And I think the big vision is just having lots of groups meeting here, having lots of classes going on. And really, like I said, just building up that community, changing those stigmas of the homeschooling center, and growing to lots of different locations. So as far as I know, the homeschooling center is kind of the first of its kind. I have not heard of anything like it. The closest thing right now is Learning Latitudes in Derry, which is a very popular place, but they do kind of a micro school. Learning Latitudes in Derry. But they do more micro school style. So it's, you go and you pay, I guess, the tuition or whatever, and you're there in a curriculum and you're part of the program. Whereas we have a very open-ended, you're just using the facility type of model. So it's definitely different, but it's the most similar that I've heard of. I do know that there are 2 other places that are looking to open or trying to open in Wyndham and then in Plymouth. And those I think are going to be more close to like what I'm doing. So, oh, excuse me. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. There's a lot of places that are starting to kind of see the need for these types of places. And I'm really excited to see these places pop up. I think that this could be a huge turning point for homeschooling and making it more accessible, making it more affordable, and making it easier for parents to actually, homeschool and be able to do this. Because I think homeschooling is really intimidating.
Going somewhere is really good because, like, whenever
Yeah.
I homeschooled, it was either my house or your house.
Yeah.
And sometimes we would find places to meet up, but it
Mhm.
it gets complicated, so if you
Yeah.
have a central location, you can just kind of work out a plan. That's really awesome. And I was going to mention we're in New Hampshire. So in New Hampshire, I noticed that you were telling people that they can we have like what we call the Education Freedom Account.
Mhm.
So some people watching, if you're from New Hampshire, you can check into the Education Freedom Account and you can apply for it. It's basically the only thing is your income level. Your income level has to be below a certain point. Other than that, I don't think you need any qualification. Well, it has to be that you're private school, right? Like if your kids go to public, you can't get it. But if you're either
Yeah,
homeschooling,
so your kids have to be pulled out of public school, so either private school or homeschooling, but you actually end up into a totally separate category for the EFA funds. So like as far as the state's concerned, you're not in private school, you're not in homeschooling, you're in EFA. And then there is an income requirement. So I think it's like 3 times the poverty level. So as long as you're less than 3 times the poverty level, you can qualify for it. I believe there were some bills this year to take out the income requirement, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And then, of course, the child that gets the benefit would have to be in public school age, in the age that's required to be in school.
right.
And then, so they would get they'd get a certain amount of the state funds that they can then use on their own schooling systems. So it's actually a really great program because it allows the money to follow the student rather than the public school systems just getting money for a child that they're not educating, which makes no sense. Why would they get paid all this money, when they're not even using it on children? So it's actually a really great program, and we are an approved vendor. So if anybody in the state of New Hampshire has the EFA funds, they can use those for memberships. And we've done it successfully. We've got members that do use the EFA funds. It's a really popular thing. It is through the New Hampshire Child Scholarship Foundation, I believe is the name of it. And they're the ones who kind of do the EFA funds.
Yeah. The money is actually, I think it's kind of separate from what they would have, the money that would go if you went to public school. It's kind of complicated how that all works out, but
Yeah.
in any case, it's a pretty good idea because like my kids have done music lessons through the years, and we, books and everything. We have always had to buy everything ourselves. So I think it's really cool that, there's a resource for parents to use, some money, and, it's not everybody, for one reason or the other, you might not want to do public school. I mean, there are lots of reasons why people homeschool. Other than
Yeah.
just, let's pull our kids out. And so it's good that we can have a plan to help those people educate their kids as well.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
no, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great program. And I mean, the amount of money that the families get is not like insignificant either. I believe it's like 4,800 or something for the year.
okay.
That's
And
a pretty
also
good
for
amount.
music lessons. Do you have any plans for music?
I'm talking with somebody now who wants to do some music classes. And we also do have a chorus program that's tentative right now, depending on how many people sign up for it. But if they get enough sign-ons, they'll definitely be doing it and starting in the middle of May. So that one I'm actually really excited about. I think it's ages like 7 to 12 or something. But the lady who does it, she has tons of years worth of experience in putting together a chorus program. She's done band programs. She does independent music classes. stuff like that. So we've been talking about kind of adding on more stuff, but she also does stuff throughout school right now. And so she's just trying to, balance her time type of thing. But
Yeah, I
we do have
throughout school as well.
yeah. Yeah, we should have lots of opportunities for music at the center. So we're always looking for new things. I know we have, so I'm actually teaching an entrepreneurship class over the summer,
Cool.
which should be a lot of fun. So I'm excited for that. There's the apple trees, seed bomb class we're going to be doing. We just had a class for do-it-yourself raised garden beds. And I think we're going to have a second part to that. So it'll basically be the same thing, but we're just building more raised garden beds. And then the garden beds are being donated to the center for a community garden. And then we have, I think we were going to have a coding class, but that one ended up getting canceled. But yeah, it's just so many cool things. Like, I'm just really excited to see, where all of this is going. We've got all the clubs going on. There's a genealogy class that we'll be doing as well, which is actually taught by a lady who owns a genealogy service company. So she's got tons of experience doing it. And it's kind of a cool thing because it's grouping in genealogy, how to research, but then also history. So you can do your own family history and genealogy, or we can look at, like local figures, that type of thing. And how would you look them up through the genealogy system? So that's kind of cool.
Wow. I'm just really impressed. So, do you have anything else you want to share with us? I do have your website posted below this video, and if anybody's interested, you can reach out to me. I can get in touch with Michelle, or you can contact her directly. Do you have any other people that help you with it, or are you the director solo right now? How's that going?
Yeah, I was going to say, I am the owner of the company. And like I said, it's only been open for a month. So, right now I'm solo. Hopefully as things start to pick up, as the community grows around the center, and as everything comes together, we'll be able to hire out some help and, people to plan events and all that stuff. But as of right now, it's just me. So definitely reach out to me if anybody's interested. If you want something at the center that we don't currently offer, let me know. The whole point of it is to serve the community and help make homeschooling easier for families. So if there's something that we're missing, I need to know about it. So, let us know if you want to teach something there. Let me know. We can talk about classroom rentals and how all that works. If you've got a co-op or a Prendapod or a micro school that might want to use the place, let me know. Definitely reach out. I'm super happy to have this going, and I'm just excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, I am too. How many classrooms do you have there?
So we have one classroom that's available. So there's one classroom, and then there's a lounge, which is good for like one-to-one tutoring. So if there's any tutors who would want to use the center to do tutoring, that's a great spot for that. And then there's also the big barn. So the barn has a really, it's a huge venue. I mean, it's a first floor upstairs, and it can easily accommodate 100 people. So the barn is good if people want to do like big workshops, or if they want to do like a big talk. I was just talking with a lady who wants to do an EMF. She's an EMF specialist. And so she's going to be doing a big workshop there about like the, EMF, what's the science behind the EMF and radio waves and, basically the dangers behind it that most people don't know about. And some solutions to those. And so she's going to be doing that in the barn because it's expected to be a big deal. So, it's just, we've got tons of space to help accommodate. There's outdoor space that people can use as well. There's we're going to have a foraging class in June. So what they're doing is they're going to take kids and families on a hike in a nearby location. And then they're going to come to the center. And if the weather's nice, they'll just be out on the front lawn. And then if the weather's not nice, they can come in and use the classroom because that's what she had booked. But, that'll be a lot of fun too. So.
Well, Don says his children created a Lego timeline display of the Bible. Wow. That I would think that would take a while. And then he says, Michelle, I wish I still had young ones. I know. It's like, where were you 15 years ago? Even
Hey,
last
well,
year,
tell all your friends who still have young kids, right?
exactly. Last year I homeschooled, but my kids didn't really enjoy it that much.
Yeah.
They felt stifled, but we went skiing and we did do other things that you can't do when you're going
Mhm.
to school. What is EMF?
Yeah, so it's the electromagnetic field. It's basically like the wireless radios, like waves that come off of Bluetooth devices. So like anything that uses Wi-Fi emits this electromagnetic field, and it actually negatively affects all of our bodies. And there's certain levels that are, that our bodies can tolerate, and then anything higher than that, our bodies can't really tolerate all that well. And there's actually tons of studies, like over 20,000 studies that have been done that show the harmful effects of what we're all subjected to because we live in the tech world. And it's actually really fascinating. I mean, I was
kind
really interested. So she wants to do a workshop there. So that'll definitely be on our calendar as soon as she gets it booked.
Wow, that's great. Well,
Yeah.
Michelle, thank you so much for coming and talking about this. I do have, like I said, I have taught online before, and I have friends that are looking at in person, not in person, but online teaching. Like there's ways you can tutor online, using Zoom and all that kind of thing. But I really, we all know in person is so
Mm-hmm.
important to be with
Yeah.
people. Um, and especially if you have kids of your own, you don't want to keep them behind a computer all day.
Yeah.
They don't have to. So this was just the perfect thing, I thought, for people to, in our state, to be a part of,
Mhm.
or to start your own. It gives other people an idea that, this is something they could do in their community. So
Mhm.
are you planning on being a millionaire with this venture?
I mean, so I will tell you, when I opened this place, there was a lot of people who were excited, and then there were a lot of people who said, "You need to bring this to where I am."
Oh,
So as soon as this place is doing well enough, my plan is actually to expand to multiple locations and to have these centers all over the state.
hmm.
So I
There we
definitely
go.
want to keep growing with it. I am an entrepreneur at heart. I plan on opening multiple businesses, and I have a few others that are in mind that are going to be happening by the end of the year.
Wow.
Um,
Good for
so I
you.
just this is what I like to do. It's and we'll see how much money any of it brings in. I have no idea, but whatever I can do to help support my family and give them a better life, I'm all about. And one of the things I would like to also mention, and I'm very proud of, is all profits that come from my bookkeeping business, because it's the only one that's profiting right now. All the profits, we do 10% of them goes to a charity. And that's something that I do want to continue with every single business that I ever open up. I believe that that's really important to give back to the community. And so in my bookkeeping business, we go to Save the Storks, which is an organization that helps women in crisis pregnancies get free medical care, and free supplies, and a variety of different services that can help them during their pregnancy and even in infanthood when they have their child, which is something I'm very passionate about. And with this one, we will likely be donating to some sort of, I still haven't quite nailed down exactly the charity, but it'll obviously be something that's education based. So it's just something I'm very passionate about. I really like to give back to the community.
That's great. Love it. That I am impressed, and that's why I wanted to also encourage you. I know that sometimes when you're a leader, you're just, sticking your neck out and going, I hope this works. You will see what happens. And so you need support too.
No.
So,
Well, thank you.
I've homeschooled for many years. I did go to college to be a teacher, but
Mhm.
I knew when I had kids, I was going to stay home with my kids. And it turned
Mhm.
originally I didn't want to homeschool, but I realized this is what we were going to do. So I homeschooled for about 15 years. I have 13 kids.
Wow.
So I homeschooled for many years, and then truthfully, a lot of the older ones started moving out, and then I was like getting depressed, and like
Mm.
it was just a lot harder than I thought it would be.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so then I needed a whole different kind of world, to keep me going.
Yeah.
So then I started working at a Christian school. And
Mm.
yeah, so now I have a lot of different things going right now, but it's
Mhm.
mostly just to stay busy.
Yeah.
But I really do wanna encourage you, and if you do need anything, you could, reach out to me. I'd be glad to help you. I have a lot of abilities with, like, just marketing,
Mhm.
connecting with people, that kinda thing. So I'd be glad to help you if I can in any way.
Yeah, I
So
mean, thank you so much. Right now, obviously, we've only been open for a month, so a lot of it is just getting the word out that we're even there.
right,
And I think that a lot of that's going to happen naturally with a lot of the stuff we have planned. But just helping get the word out, letting people know that we're there, and if there's anybody that you think might want to teach a class there or bring a group there, that type of thing is super helpful. So we can offer more to our community.
right.
All of that is really helpful.
Right. So I will definitely be letting people know as much as I can, and hopefully this video will help get the word out a little bit. And thank you for coming. Any last words?
No, I think we're all set. Just thank you everyone for listening. And, I'm just excited to see where everything goes.
Yes, thank you so much. And we'll keep in touch. Maybe we'll have you on again when, after a while so you can give
When
us an
I open up
update.
my next center, right?
Yeah, right. Right. Or maybe we'll have testimonials from other
Right.
families that have benefited from your, endeavors, because 'cause I'm sure it's gonna be a blessing to a lot of people. So thank you
No.
so much, and I hope you have a great night and hope to see you again soon. I don't know if I told you, I'm about an hour from you. We live in Raymond, so I'm not too far, but
Okay.
far enough it's not right around the corner, but not
Yeah.
too far.
Okay.
Alright, well, thank you for coming, and
Yeah.
hope
Thank
to see you
you.
again soon. Alright, have a great night.
Thanks,
Bye.
you
Bye,
too.
everyone.
Bye.